So in this section, what we're going to do is we're going to be covering what a sales and business development rep is. So if you're going to be starting your sales career, chances are you're probably entry level and you may not have that much sales experience. So this is why we're going to cover, exactly what the entry level sales role is and, how it works and what the career advancement opportunities are. So when we're looking at the sales organization chart, right, basically there's three main steps. First one is prospecting lead generation. So that's like generating leads with, let's say, strangers, and you're trying to close them. Once you generate the meeting, you're going to move into the meeting phase, discovery, or closing, meaning that someone has to talk to the person, build a relationship, do a presentation, and close the deal. Finally, after the deal is closed, there are going to be salespeople who are part of account management, meaning that they make sure that the customers are happy and they continue to upsell and cross-sell and sell different products and services to that customer so that they can, keep generating revenue from that customer that they work so hard to close. So when it comes to prospecting and lead generation, where the sales and business development person comes in is basically this part, right? So sale is also known as a SDR or BDR, sales development rep, business development rep. And your job over here in the sales organization chart is just to do the sales prospecting and generate leads so that other people can close them and make money from them, right? And so this person over here makes the money from generating leads. So let's go ahead and dive into the sales and business development rep. It's also known as a SDR or BDR, business development rep. They're all pretty much the same thing. There are different names depending on like what country you live in or what the company wants to use, but they're pretty much all the same thing, right? So different names, essentially the same type of work. So an SDR, we're just going to call it an SDR for this video to make things easier. An SDR is essentially a entry-level sales role that does not require any sales experience, right? We're going to talk about more about this later. But let's go ahead and give you the responsibilities of an SDR first, right? So you get an understanding of, what it is. So an SDR, the main priority is to generate meetings with potential customers. Usually it's outbound. So that's kind of like finding companies you want to work with, finding companies you want to sell to, and generating a meeting, whether it's cold calling, email, or LinkedIn. Right. And so that's called outbound lead generation when you're using cold email, LinkedIn, and cold calling to generate leads. And essentially, when you're doing outbound lead generation, you are literally reaching out to another person who has no idea who you are, and you're trying to build a relationship with them. Now, the other type of leads that an SDR might have is inbound lead generation, right? So this is when a company creates some kind of marketing material, whether it's a video, a blog, any type of content, and lead or paid advertising, and leads come to the company, right? So leads are saying, oh, this is an interesting video. I want to learn more about this company. And they'll give you their email and things like that. And a SDR will get that information and they will reach out to that inbound lead and say, hey, I saw that you checked out this PDF and you did the download. Just curious to know about how you handle this thing. And, I want to have a conversation to see if it makes sense to work together, right? So that's an inbound lead. And so obviously inbound lead generation is much easier because the leads come to you and they're already going to buy something or they're already interested. So you just have to take the order. Outbound lead generation is much harder because you're trying to get complete strangers to book a meeting with you. So obviously less people will actually buy, but two different strategies depending on what company you are working at. When it comes to, the responsibilities, it's the SDR responsibilities to essentially research campaign ideas, build prospect list, and reach out to prospects to set up meetings. So an SDR, it's not just like a brainless job. You really have to be able to think. You have to be like, okay, who are our current customers? Why are they buying? What are their pains? Let me try to find as many companies that exist out there in the world and build my list and send out my campaigns, right? And it does take a lot of critical thinking to understand what a person's pain is, a lot of research, a lot of understanding your current customers to, have successful campaigns, because you can't just randomly reach out to 1,000 people and then hopefully 10 people will buy. You really have to understand the psychology of why people buy and what pains they have and what you can solve. And when an SDR generates a meeting with a prospect, what's going to happen is either they're going to pass it directly to an account executive, which is essentially a closer, or the SDR might actually get on the phone to qualify that prospect first, talk to them a little bit, see if they have any real pain, see if they have a budget and things like that. And if they qualify the person and that person's interested, then they may pass that deal to the account executive. But typically an SDR does not close any deals. They just generate the meetings and qualify the person. Also, because of this, the SDR will get paid based on how many qualified meetings that they generate for another person. Or they might get, let's say, a revenue split of if they generate that lead and that customer closes in the future, they might get a small percentage of whatever value that customer is, right? So every company is going to be different on their commission structure, but usually most of the time, SDRs are getting paid based on qualified meetings. And if the prospect's qualified, like I said before, SDR will then schedule another meeting where they will introduce the prospect to the account executive, and the account executive is the one that closes the deal, right? So SDRs aren't really doing sales presentations. They're not really negotiating and things like that. They're just, involved in the beginning of the sales process. So when we look back on the sales organization chart, we have this prospecting lead generation. This is where sales and development people live. Sales and business development people, they use like cold email, LinkedIn, cold calling. There could be other forms of outreach like Instagram, Facebook, whatever works for that specific product and service, right? But usually these are the three main ones that people use. And it goes over here. So account executives are the ones that do the meeting, discovery, call, close the deal. And then account managers are the people that, take care of the customer after the account executive closes the deal. And so that's how, from a holistic perspective, this is a simple way to kind of look at how a sales organization is organized. And so with that said, that is what a sales development is in a nutshell. And I'll go ahead and see you in the next section.